All right, let's get into the New Orleans Saints offseason. They've had an interesting one bringing in Derek Carr. They're still negative 70 million cap space in debt. But before we get into that, if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment down below on what you think of this offseason analysis. Tyler and I, we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the NFL draft, which is less than a month away. So if you could help us reach that goal, that would be very much appreciated. So Tyler, coming into this offseason, the Saints were one of the teams that we had the most questions about because they had so many needs, yet we're at like negative 50 million in cap space. And then they immediately go out and sign Derek Carr on the first day of free agency.
Well, and what's interesting about it too is now, according to Over the Cap, they're sitting at 15.7 million in cap space right now.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, so they have definitely let some people go. They have made some moves. And to be honest, like, don't dislike some of the moves that they made. I think they've addressed both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. They still need to improve their offensive line. I think that's one thing that they haven't really done too much yet in the offseason. But I think that's going to be one of the main things I think that they address in the draft. But with who they've lost so far, we mentioned this in our Falcons one. David Onyemata has moved on to the Falcons. They've lost Deontay Hardy to the Bills, Marcus Davenport to the Vikings. Then they did lose their quarterback in Andy Dalton, but Derek Carr's there, so they kind of just replaced him. I'd say just like a little bit better version of that. But other than that, just immediately off the cuff, the only other one that might be interesting where maybe he was being held back a little bit in the current Saints system, but going back to Sean Payton, Marquez Callaway, the receiver, moved on to the Broncos. That's one I'm very curious about because I think he had some potential, but we just weren't able to see it in the Saints.
There was also some overlap with Chris Olave there now.
Yeah, well, and then Chris Olave, way better than him.
Yeah.
But I think there's maybe some potential. So I'm curious to see how he does. That was more just a side note, but very curious to see how he does. But then on the flip side, on the offensive side of the ball, Derek Carr, already mentioned, Jamal Williams will be a fan favorite. I'm absolutely looking. I hope that there's a primetime Saints-Falcons game so I can see him do another intro. Then Michael Thomas is still there.
And he restructured his deal.
Yeah, I think he's excited to play with Derek Carr. One that, and if you think about it too, we haven't really seen him play too much for these past couple of years, but imagine him if he can be half of what he was. That's still a pretty good receiver.
That's still a 70-catch receiver.
Yeah.
Probably 800-something yards.
That's a great number 2 receiver outside Chris Olave. And so, and imagine like that receiver combo. And Derek Carr, I think, still has some potential. A lot of potential. Honestly, I just think he was just in kind of a failing system in the Raiders. I think you match that up, and then they did Johnson, who I think is also an underrated tight end. This offense isn't looking horrible, because then you still have Alvin Kamara back there, but we don't know yet with his legal issues how many games he's going to be able to play this year. So.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the Jamal Williams signing, I think there's some overlap there in their play style. So I do like that signing even more with Alvin Kamara's issues. So
Jamal Williams is a good running back, but he's like now it feels like the modern day kind of red zone running back.
Yeah.
He is shifty enough to catch to the backfield, but his best thing is running in between the tackles and like just running over guys.
Yeah,
he's a big bowling ball.
He actually is a pretty good pass catcher out of the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
So I like a lot of what they've done. They also brought in Kalen Saunders, the defensive tackle from Kansas City, as well as linebacker Nathan Shepard. And so all in all, I think they've done a really good job this offseason. And honestly, I wouldn't have said that before I did any research because looking at them coming into the offseason, they were negative 50 million in cap space. They looked doomed for a really bad 2023, and all of a sudden they clear out a bunch of cap space. And so one of my biggest questions now, quarterback Jameis Winston also re-signed a deal there. I'm curious the plan with him. Like, is he just going to be the backup to Derek Carr or what? Because they just paid Derek Carr a ton of money. So that's a little confusing. I figured that they would let him walk. But
he's definitely just going to be he's been with the organization now. And so how much did he sign for it even? He only signed for like what?
I think was it 1 year?
4 million. Yeah, 1 year, 4 million guarantees with max of 8 million. I wonder as a backup quarterback. I wonder at what. I need to go read the contract, I guess. But like what, like how we can get 4 million in additional bonus money for playing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe
it
it's
might
4
just be if
million.
Derek Carr gets hurt.
Maybe it's a 4 million signing bonus or something. I don't know. That doesn't matter because Derek Carr is the main acquisition of this entire offseason. So
yeah,
when it comes to their draft, they're picking in the first round. I guess depending on which one you look at, but pick 29, which is the San Francisco pick. But then they got that pick from trading it with the Broncos for Sean Payton.
Yeah.
To me, and I know they signed Kalen Saunders as well, but I still feel like, and also Nathan Shepard, but I still feel like they need some more defensive line help. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Like Maisie Smith, I think will be there. Saiki Ika might be there, or both those guys should be there. But Saiki Ika might not be the best fit for first round value.
Yeah,
but
I do like the idea of investing in an edge rusher. I don't know if there's really one at that 29 position, but maybe at 40 or 71, if Andre Carter is a guy that you like, he has really nice physical tools, and I think that would be a good place to invest in. We did have them go corner in our 7-round mock draft, and that didn't really seem to be popular amongst the fan base. But I don't know. It's an interesting position for them because they do still have some needs.
Well, yeah. I believe we had Maisie Smith at 29 and Tyreek Stevenson at 40. And looking back on it, maybe not corner, but I think the defensive line might be. Or another option, though, I think it depends on who's available. But if Darnell Wright is there, I think at the offensive side of the ball, that's who I think would be a great option if they were wanting to go offensive line help.
No, yeah, I think that'd be great. There's a lot of different ways I think that the Saints can go in this draft. They are kind of in a best player available, but I honestly have no feel on how they're going to be in 2023 because there's just so much. I don't want to say randomness, but there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to the Saints.
Yeah,
so
it is interesting how it seems like they're able to do this every single year, and then But I wonder though if they're just going to kind of stay in this. The cycle of mediocrity, is like if let's say, for example, Desmond Ridder and CJ Stroud are hits, and like, is that what it's going to take for them to be like, let's blow it up, let's start from ground zero. We need a franchise quarterback, instead of kind of doing what the Colts did, where it's like
and
just getting these
together with veteran quarterbacks
and everything. And so we'll have to see. I'm very curious. As a Falcons fan, I hope they don't do well. I hope that they're competitive enough just to where it's a good feeling when we beat them every single year, which I don't think we've beaten them in a long time. We lost to them.
You guys lost them both times this past year, right?
And I think the year before that also.
Okay.
So it's been a while. Falcons have been bad for a long time. And today's 3/28 day. So
it is.
So that's when we're recording. Geez, brings a tear to my eye. But we'll see. Saints, very interesting spot when you're picking late in the first round. A lot of different ways they can go.